Alright, dear children, now let's continue again with the topic and the chapter that we are dealing, that is electricity. And now we discuss in detail about the law of conservation of charge. Yes, law of conservation of charge. So this is another important topic, especially based with the electric charges. Like you know, about substance has mass, substance has charge also. If a body has charge also, then this charge can neither be created nor can be destroyed. So in a universe or in a system, the total charge always remains constant. Or we can also say that a charge can simply transfer from one object to another object, but charge can neither be created nor can be destroyed. And this is the statement of law of conservation of charge. So in the examination, if it asks state law of conservation of charge, means we state the law as the law of conservation of charge states that electric charge can neither be created nor destroyed. Electric charge can neither be what? Created nor destroyed. We cannot create the charge also, we cannot destroy the charge also. Okay. So in a closed system, the amount of charge remains same. The amount of charge means the total charge remains same or remain constant. So that the charge can only be transferred from one object to another object. So children, just keep in mind that the amount of charge can be simply transferred from one object to another object, but charge cannot be created nor it can be destroyed, so that the total amount of charge in a system always remains same or constant. And this is the statement of law of conservation of charge. So children, remember this part. When we learn in detail about electric charges, we need to understand and define the law of conservation of charge. So this is the statement of law of conservation of charge. Now we go to the next topic, directly to the next topic, that is conductors and insulators. So we move directly to next topic, conductor and insulator. So this part we are not going to discuss. Okay. And the topic is conductors and insulators. Every substance can be broadly classified into two types. One is called conductor, one is called insulator. These two substances, like one is conductor and insulator, have just opposite properties. But these two substances are very important, especially when we talk about the flow of charge is concerned. Especially the flow of charge in our circuit is concerned. Now, to understand what is conductor and what is insulator, okay, you know, in some atoms, electrical force is not strong enough to hold the electrons to the nucleus, and hence the electrons are able to move around the material. Means you know that every substance is made up of atom. Every substance is made up of atom, but in certain atoms of a substances, the electrical force, and this electrical force means the electrostatic force of attraction, okay, between the charges, between the electrons and the nucleus, okay, is not strong enough which can hold the electron to the nucleus, okay, so that these electrons which can move freely around the nucleus or move freely in the materials of the substance, and that substances are usually called as conductor. That substances are usually called as what? Conductor. Now in a simple way I can tell you that conductor are those substances which allow the charge to flow easily. Are called conductors. Okay. Now this happens especially in case of the electrons when revolve around the nucleus are not strongly enough attracted by the electrostatic force between the nucleus and the electrons, so that these electrons can move freely around the space in the material, and that substances are called conductors. That's why we can even define conductors as material that have electrons which are free to move around in them are called good conductor of electricity, or simply called as conductor. And we can also say that conductors are those substances which allow the charge to flow easily. Are called conductors. Okay. Now example of conductors are there. So example of solid conductors. If I take solid conductors, are the metals. So metals are the solid conductors, means they conduct electricity. Okay. Which have free electrons that can move about in the material. Okay. The example like copper conductor, silver conductor, metal, brass conductor, also steel, they are also good conductor of electricity. Okay, so copper and silver are the metal, brass and steel are the alloy are the mixture of two or more metals but they are still conduct electricity. They are also called conductors. Okay, conductors, copper, silver, these are the example, brass, steel, these are the good example of good conductor of electricity. But there are other metals which are also a good conductor of electricity. That is why the part of electrical object that need to let electricity pass through are always made of metals. Yes, you know the house wiring when we do, so the wire which is used in a house, in an electrical circuit, is always made up of metal, like copper. It is usually made up of copper or aluminum and all, and they are the conductors. Okay, now next, metal is used in plugs to allow electricity to transfer from the wall socket through the plugs. Similarly, it is also into a device such as television or fan. Yes, in order to run television, a fan, okay, we need to connect wire like metals to the plug, to the wall socket, so that it allow the electricity to transfer, okay, from this wall socket to the devices, because they allow the electricity to pass through, means they allow the charge to flow through it. Okay, that's why they are called conductors. But the other hand, we have some materials such as rubber, plastic and glass and wood do not have electrons that are free to move throughout the materials. That means those substances which does not allow the charge to flow easily are called insulator or bad conductor. Insulator or what? Bad conductor. That's why such materials are called bad conductors of electricity, or simply called as electrical insulators. So electrical insulators are just opposite to conductor, because this electrical insulator or bad conductor of electricity does not allow the charge to flow easily. That's why the example you can see out here, rubber, plastic, glass, wood, these are the common example of insulator, in which the current does not flow or the charge cannot flow. Now the plastic covering that surround wire is an what? Electrical insulator. So that's why when we use a wire, house wiring, we use copper wire or aluminum wire, but it has to be covered by the plastic, so that it will not, by chance if you touch the wire, okay, you will not get any electric shock. So that insulator always does support or not to getting on, for not getting what? Electrical shock. Okay, that's why it stops you from getting an electric shock. That's why insulator also play a very important role when we do house wiring system, means when we do some connection in the house. Okay, that's why when connection like wire, when we connect wire, okay, for electricity purposes, the wire has to be covered by the what? Insulator also. Now another example of insulator that we can see is dry air. So dry air is also an insulator. You know, air is a gas, mixture of gases, but dry air is an insulator. And so is pure water. So pure water, liquid, dry air, gas, they are also what? Insulator. But a little impurity of pure water makes it a conductor. So if there is some impurity present in the water, pure water, means that water become a good conductor of electricity. But pure water is an insulator. Dry air is also an insulator. Okay, so these are also the common example of insulator, other than your rubber, plastic, glass and all. Okay, now there is a table which is given out here. You can see this is in page number 123, table 8.2, where you can see some electrical conductors and insulators. So conductors, what are the common electrical conductors that we use in our day-to-day life? Silver, one of the best conductor of electricity, followed by copper. We use gold is a conductor, aluminum conductor, graphite is also a conductor, tungsten wire is also a conductor, iron wire, a metal conductor, lead also a conductor, nichrome alloy, they are also conductors. So these are the common example of conductors that we use in our day-to-day life. Now other than this conductor, we have insulator. So insulator are just opposite to conductor, as I said. Plastic, one of the most common insulator, wood, glass, diamond is also the insulator, because diamond is made up of carbon, is also the insulator, and diamond is the hardest substance in the universe, insulator. Rubber, insulator. Paper is also insulator. Cork, also insulator. Pure water, as I said, and dry air, these are also the insulator. So these are the example of insulator, and these are the example of conductors. So children, remember this, substance has, there are substances which are conductor and there are certain substances which are called insulator. But both conductor and insulator are very important to each other, especially when we discuss about the electricity purposes. Okay, so I have explained in detail about conductor and insulator. Now in the next YouTube video you learn about the topic that is called charging an object. Charging and what? Object.